the John Fourcade Show. Now, a special spotlight segment. We look at some of the top players going up against LSU or Tulane or even from the state of Louisiana. Our first guy, he's going up against LSU this weekend, and you're talking about a big-time football player, Laquan Treadwell. We saw that horrific leg injury he had going up against Auburn last year. 6'2", 210-pounder, 68 catches. He's averaging 14.7 yards a catch, 7 touchdowns. John, in watching him, he reminds me a lot of a guy I saw come out of North Carolina State a few years back, and Torrey Holt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's built along the same lines, kind of a silky smooth guy, will go over the middle, could also stretch the field, catch the short pass, great hands. He's got length, and he's got an extra gear he can kick out to out in the open field. And he is probably the smallest of the Ole Miss receivers that they have, but he reminds me a lot of Torrey Holt when he came out of NC State. And Torrey had, well, I think it's going to end up being an NFL Hall of Fame career with the Rams.
Well, the thing about Treadwell is, he brings so much to the table. If it's a crucial situation, Mike, and they need him, they'll go to him because he'll make a play. I've seen this guy go up when he has to go up. I've seen him go across the middle when he has to go across the middle. I've seen him catch balls and behind the line of scrimmage and throw touchdown passes. He's the go-to guy. I've seen him catch screen plays and do things that way. I don't know who they're going to put on him, from LSU standpoint.
I think it's Trey White.
It should be Trey White in that aspect of the whole scenario, but who you going to put on the other guys, because they got a core of receiving and they got a tight end we talked about that we'll get furthermore along with him. But I'll tell you this much, that kid Treadwell is going to be a #1 pick in the first round for sure, and I love the way this guy plays, and you don't hear anything about him off the field, and all good things about him off the field and all great things about him on the field.
Just think about this, when LSU plays Ole Miss this weekend, LSU will be going up against 3 of my top 15 players for 2016, and Laramie Tunsil at tackle, and Robert Camducci and defensive tackle, and Treadwell. So you're talking about 3 top 15 picks in next year's draft. You can see where this game is going to be talent against talent. Can LSU bounce back there? Our spotlight player on LSU is Kendall Beckwith. And Kendall's, I think, a pro football player. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. Career-wise, 144 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 pass interception. But he has struggled in the pass coverage part of the game. His forte is he's a physical guy, stopping the run, in the box guy. But when they put him back to cover people, he's had difficulties. Guess who he plays this week? Evan Ingram, who's one of the best pass-catching tight ends in college football. We saw Hunter really kind of early on take advantage of some of the lack of coverage on LSU of the tight end. I think if I'm Ole Miss, I'm going after Beckwith if he's one-on-one with Evan Ingram. Well, I think Kendall can play in the NFL. The one area he really needs to improve on, John, he needs to get better in the pass coverage part of the game. He doesn't play well in reverse. Forward, he can make plays, but in reverse, he has struggled.
I think that's what one of the weak links that LSU has this year is other than the defensive line being undersized, their linebacking core. You got Beckwith, who is a good run stopper. He can play in that box, but boy, if you ask him to go cover somebody, that's where his weakness is right now. And if he has to go against Ole Miss and cover Ingram, who's not your typical 6'4", 250, 260 type, he's more of a slashier wide receiver type guy that's got maybe 230, and he could play tight end. I don't see Beckwith at all being able to handle him in the passing department. And so with that being said, they're going to have to find something on the defensive side of football, because Ole Miss will come out throwing the football. They're not a running team. They're not a running team
whatsoever. Not with those little 180-pound running backs that they have.
And that's being generous at 180 pounds.
And so I think that's the negative part of it. The 2 teams that LSU has played have been able to come out with these big backs. If it's Derrick Henry, if it's Alex Collins, that big offensive line. Ole Miss, they do it with the little edge guys, and I think that kind of plays more into LSU's hands. But they are going to throw the football, and LSU has just not been able to get a pass rush, and they seem at times to be lost in the coverage part of the game, losing receivers once a guy buys a little bit of time in the pocket.
And losing 2 games in a row, going into this week where people are thinking it could be 3 games in a row, I'm one of them. And I look at it this way, their defensive guys are now thinking, wait a second, guys, we're not getting to the ball, we're not making things happen up front, we're not getting the turnovers that we need to have on the defensive side of football, and now we're going to play against a team that will throw 40-something passes in this football game because they don't like to run the football, or they can't run the football. But if Ole Miss could decide to run the football, it has to be inside, Mike. They can't go around the outside because LSU's got too much talent to chase down the football. That's why I look at this game saying, Beckworth, you better hope they run the ball. It ain't going to happen. So you get on your toes and be ready to do some defending because it's going to be aired out.
One guy who has played well at LSU on defense has been Deion Jones.
Yes, he has.
I think Debo has really, really played well. Also, we want to congratulate, too, Kenneth Dixon, a young man who was part of our Spotlight segment just 2 weeks ago. He's got 81 career touchdowns overall. The record in the NCAA is 83. Monte Ball has it, former running back from University of Wisconsin. He's 2 touchdowns away from tying Ball. John, he's got 2 games left to play. He scored 6 touchdowns against North Texas, and now with 2 games left, Kenneth Dixon, who I compared him a lot to Matt Forte. These similar type players, a runner, receiver, not as tall, but similar skills, just 2 touchdowns away from the NCAA record at 83 to tie Monte Ball. And I think I wouldn't be shocked that this weekend you're going to see Kenneth Dixon at least tie that record.
Well, I want to know, Kenneth Dixon, how long ago did you pass my total touchdowns?
I think he did that as a freshman.
Probably did as a freshman. Maybe I'll give the sophomore season, but Mike, he shows up week in and week out to play, and that's hats off to him because the quarterback for Navy.
Jeff Driscoll too.
Driscoll, the
well.
quarterback, but I was going to say the Navy's quarterback is tied for 79 touchdowns.
Rushing.
That's rushing.
Right.
And this young man's doing it with both his feet and his hands and whatever else he can do to score touchdowns. Good luck to you, Mr. Dixon, and you'll probably break that record. But send me an autographed picture so I can at least see how far back that I lasted when you broke my record.
Once he gets into that 85, 86, you'll say, I'll pass you up, John, when I was the 9th game of my freshman year.
Probably his high school year.
We'll be back with more of the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford.